Sorry about the delay, everyone. Got my schedule a little backed up this week, so I am coming to you quite late for the episode 5 recap. But nonetheless, here it is. We'll crush through this thing and we'll be back on track for episode 6 this week. So, first off, we're talking about Amos. We're obviously going to open with Amos and him being the third tap out of the season. As soon as Amos starts talking about the bear, my eyes are just automatically rolling in my head. It's a terrible strategy. You come on this show and your plan is to either rely on getting something like a bear or other big game. You're most likely gonna lose. Like in all the seasons of Alone, what have we seen? Like three big kills, I think now. 9 seasons and 3 big kills. So on 1 out of every 3 seasons, somebody takes down a large animal, and it's never been multiple people. So you factor that all in. 90 competitors have been on the show, and 3 of them have taken big game. Those are some pretty low odds of that plan succeeding. So, and on top of it, like, Amos, you're not killing a bear. You're just not. Like, I don't care. You're out in those conditions, stomping around that area all that time. You're just not gonna get a bear, and that's that. Moving on, he did spot a squirrel and immediately missed it. We did get one of those lovely commercial breaks right at a potentially exciting moment, which has become extremely scripted this season, that as soon as somebody's about to do something interesting, you might as well just immediately get up, go to the bathroom, walk away from the TV, because we're cutting to commercial break, just because that's how the entire season has been edited. We see him after striking out at the Bears. He carves himself a little guitar and then promptly taps out. I will say I enjoyed Amos much more on his original season. I think that was season 7. I enjoyed him much more on there than I did on Frozen. We just did not get much from him on Frozen. We saw him talk about how he's going to get this bear. He had some dinky little shelter. Like, compare his shelter to like what Woniya's been doing. Like, he just kind of threw up a little teepee, wrapped a tarp around it, and lived in it for 17 days. That just doesn't seem like somebody who's committed to surviving for 50 days in Labrador. His whole strategy, big game or tap out. Well, didn't get the big game, so he taps out. Let's move on to our final 3. I think that this should be a little bit more proof that we need more female contestants on the show. Over time, we've slowly been getting more and more, but here we are on what is supposed to be a challenge between the best of the best. And who do we have as our final 3? It is our 3 ladies. So big props to them, and whoever's casting this show, give us another lady or 2 on each season, because they have been absolutely crushing it in recent seasons, and I want to see the best. And if these guys that think they're all that, like the Jacques and the Benjis, keep getting cast and then just tapping out after 10-20 days, let's leave them on the shore, and let's bring in some of these more talented female competitors like Woniya, like Callie, who've been the 2 stars of this season. Like, they consume like half of every episode because they're more entertaining, they're doing more, they're more talented. They are the people that we want to be watching, and obviously the crew feels the same because they take up so much of each episode. All right, Woniya, let's jump into her. So she had a fox visitor and was building a trap to trap it. At this point, I lost part of the episode. I don't know if she succeeded. I assume not, but maybe that's something that we will revisit in a future episode. I wasn't sold on the whole trap that she built. Basically, found a little patch of dense shrubs, and I thought she was going to do something cool with it, you know, put some bait in it, and then just one snare. And I thought, you know, that just doesn't seem like enough, but hey, maybe I'm wrong. We also saw her working on her shelter and really liked the fireplace that she ended up making. Basically built up some stones, put a little mantle on there, built the stones up out the back corner of her shelter so she could have a little chimney. Looked like it was functioning all right, and that is a good sign for her, because as we jump over into winter, which looks like it kind of starts next episode, you know, temperatures have been hovering around freezing thus far, but nothing too harsh, nothing too extreme as of yet. And I think that once we kick over, you know, into several inches of snow on the ground, that this competition gets a lot more serious. And honestly, I thought that at this point we'd still have 6 competitors left, and that our 3 men would not have tapped out already. So that's it for Woniya this week. Expecting much more of her in the coming weeks now that we only have 3 competitors. Next, let's jump over to Callie. So she's making a fish trap. And anyone who has watched all the seasons of Alone and fish traps have a little bit of a history together, and that history is that they don't work. It looked like Callie made a nice, interesting fish trap. She got it out into deep enough water that, you know, if there is fish around, that it should attract some attention. But the problem is, I just don't know if the fish are around. That is one of the issues with that open ocean where they are. You know, it's not generally a good fishing hole. You know, whenever people are fishing, they're looking for, you know, some sort of interesting piece of the ocean, whether it's some calm bay or, you know, underneath some structure, something along those lines. And out in the open ocean, you know, we've not seen anybody take a fish this season, so that is going to be a factor. And you know, that's two cool traps that Callie has built this season. The crow getter, I don't remember what it was called. One for birds, which looked kind of cool. Grouse getter, not crow getter. Who's hunting crows? The crow getter, I just immediately go back. Grouse getter 2,000 and the fish catcher 3,000. I'm not sold that either of those is going to pay off for Callie, but I am glad that she's out there at least trying something, knowing that if she can get any sort of protein without much effort, that is going to put her at a huge advantage. The rest of the episode, not so great for Callie, as she starts getting sick after eating some mussels. Not quite clear if she basically had some bad mussels or her body was just telling her, all right, we're over it, we're not having any more mussels. So her journey ends on episode 5 with her being violently ill and just kind of cutting off. I think that she's probably going to push through this, just knowing what we know about Callie and how she pushed 90 days in the Arctic with a horrifically frostbitten toe and would have gladly pushed another 10 days if she'd been allowed. I don't think that she's going to be somebody who taps out. I think that she's going to have to get medically extracted or win the whole damn thing. Lastly, we have Michelle. Really just 2 things from Michelle this week. Hopefully we start seeing a little bit more of her now that we're down to 3, because I think that she has a slight advantage on everyone else in that her experience with Alone wasn't the same as everyone else's. She was only on her season, Choco Lake, I think she was on, for like 20 days. So she's basically about to pass that marker, and her 20 days, they were just miserable. She pretty much got nothing the entire time she was there, and so far on Alone Frozen, you know, we've seen her have a consistent source of muscles, which is more than what she had on her season. And I believe that she also, well, she got a snare this episode, so she's had additional protein on top of that. And I really think that knowing what her experience was last time, and that she made it 20 days on nothing, and now she has some level of sustenance, that, you know, she doesn't have that mental barrier that we've been seeing in the other competitors, that, you know, thinking about, oh, it took me months to recover from the torture I put my body through. You know, she had 3 crappy weeks, went home, you know, not saying she didn't have to rehabilitate or anything like that, but not on the same level as some of these other competitors. And we're seeing that in her mentality, in what she's talking about, how she's approaching things, and that could be a big advantage as we start to push towards the difficult, you know, final 30 days of this challenge. You know, if she has the mentality of, oh, I made it 21 days on this, well, with these resources, I can easily make it 50 days. So I think she could be a big surprise coming to the end and still being there. So like I said, 2 things for Michelle this episode. She snares a rabbit. Great catch for her. That will give her a nice little boost to keep things going and maybe avoid 1 day of the mussels. And then we saw her weave a basket, and when she first started, I was thinking, you know, what is this? What the hell are we watching? And then by the time she finishes, she's got this beautiful little basket. And I'm thinking that is actually quite awesome. You know, she can use that basket. She can fill it with mussels, fill it with berries. You know, take it out with her. She can use it just for storage back in her shelter. It's going to be very useful for her, from something that I was originally watching and thinking, wow, this is going to be a huge waste of time. And turns out that she has a pretty awesome product there. You know, I think lots of people would probably even consider buying a basket of that quality because it looked quite nice. All right, I think that wraps it up for this week. Maybe rambles a little longer than I thought I would on this slightly late recap of episode 5. But as always, everybody, thank you so much for watching, and I'm out.